The Texas Rangers were not done with Jacob deGrom. They continue to add pitching here at the winter meetings. Tim McMaster along with Levi Weaver, our Rangers reporter at The Athletic. Andrew Heaney, 2 years, $25 million with incentives that go up to $37.5 million. This is a guy who's had injuries, but last year with the Dodgers was great.
Yeah, he apparently changed up his pitch arsenal. Right, they changed his slider. He didn't throw his changeup a whole lot, but he did sort of bring that back near the end of the year. And it was really effective. He had a huge strikeout rate, like near the top of the league, and whiff rate gets a lot of chase. That's something that the Rangers didn't have a whole lot of last year. And with deGrom and Heaney both, I think they're going to have a better strikeout and also low walk rates. Both Heaney and deGrom not big walkers. So yeah, big improvement to the rotation. I think he's, as far as like when he's on the mound, it looks like he's turned a corner at the Dodgers and their magic mystery machine of numbers and biomechanics, and they changed his arm slot a little bit on his slider, and it was very effective last year. So if he can maintain that, and especially if he can stay healthy, which is what I think we'll probably get into in a minute, it could be a very big pickup for the Rangers for a relatively affordable price, given the price we've seen for some of these free agents this summer.
I mean, this week the dollars are, every time a new deal comes up, they're eye-popping, and this one actually felt like, okay, that kind of makes sense. So that's good. You mentioned the injuries. The two big drawbacks, I think, on Heaney in his career, the home run ball and the injuries. I think the most innings he's pitched in a season is like 130, something like that. Coming off of last year, was coming off Tommy John. The Rangers have a belief, I assume, that this is a guy that can stay healthy.
Yeah, and there was some talk that some of the shoulder stuff from last year was because of the changed arm angle with the slider. So, if that's true, if that's what it was, and he's got it figured out now, and that's not going to be an issue moving forward, great. My bigger concern is he pitched 72 and change innings last year. I think deGrom pitched 64. Jake Odorizzi pitched 103. John Gray was on the IL a few times. He got like 120 something innings, and then Martin Perez 196, like a full starter's workload. Right. That's 4 out of the 5 starters, and their rotation is indubitably improved. You don't sign Jacob deGrom and be like, well, we're kind of in the same boat. Like, no doubt, huge improvement to the rotation, but 4 out of the 5 guys have some injury questions. And I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch for the Rangers in 2023. They do have some depth, guys that were in the rotation all of last year. Dane Dunning, Glenn Otto, Cole Reagans came up and was fine. So they've got some guys. And then in a year or two, you've got Jack Leiter and Owen White, and you've got all of these, Cole Winn, guys that should be coming in to sort of backfill that rotation. So if they can get through this year healthy, that's going to look great. If they don't, it doesn't necessarily mean long-term problems for them. But I do think the front office wants to contend this year. And so I think they're really banking on these guys to stay healthy.
Obviously, the splurge in spending last year for this team in the middle infield, now they do it on the pitching side. You mentioned some of the kids on the way, and overall, it's a very good minor league system. Is the idea we're spending now so we can compete right away, but we're not necessarily going to continue to do this year after year? Like, eventually, we're going to have this younger, less expensive talent coming.
Yes, and then also you've got guys that are going to hit arbitration soon. What's Nathaniel Lowe's contract going to look like next year? He won a Silver Slugger, right? So we don't know how much he's getting paid next year. Adolis Garcia at some point is going to hit arbitration. You've got all these young guys that are starting to age in. Josh Young is going to be a rookie this year. Jonah Heim at some point is going to have to get paid. So I think there is going to have to be some consideration to that budget increasing also. But yeah, Chris Young has talked about sustainability, right? They want to contend now. It's been 6 losing seasons in a row. Enough. And Ray Davis, the owner, has said the same thing. Like, I'm sick of losing. I'm not a good loser. I'm ready to write some checks and win some games. But they don't necessarily want to do that to the exclusion of winning in 2024 and 5 and 6. They want this to be a sustainable thing. And so far, it seems like it could be. I mean, Heaney on a 2-year deal, right? Martin Perez came in on a qualifying offer. So if last year ends up being a flash in the pan for Perez, okay, that's going to cost him maybe more than he's worth this year. But then, go chase your wares wherever. We've got more people coming. If not, then they can extend them. But it's so far, it looks like a good plan.
Yeah.
The injuries and possibilities in the rotation certainly don't mean it's an airtight plan, but it's a good plan. And now we get to just sort of watch this. And I don't think they're done. Yeah, I do think they're done on the starting pitching market.
Yeah.
I don't think Rodon happens. Senga, I think, would have to just be he wants to come to Texas thing, and maybe a 6-man rotation is the solution to these injury questions. I don't know.
That's a great point. Yeah.
But I think the priority now has been let's turn our attention to an outfield bat. I personally think a left-handed bat would make a lot of sense for them, but we talked to Chris Young today, and he said he had no real preference. If it's a good hitter, it's a good hitter, and that could be on the free agent market. Could also be on the trade market. They do have enough depth in their minor leagues to do that. And then I think they need a couple more bullpen pieces. You know, they've got Jonathan Hernandez and Jose Leclerc both came back from Tommy John last year. Looks really good. Joe Barlow was their closer to start the season. I don't think that's the right role for him, but could be a very effective middle reliever. Taylor Hearn looked good out of the bullpen. Brock Burke, huge breakout year for him in the bullpen. So I think they need a couple more guys. But yeah, the pieces are starting to come together. We start to kind of know what this team is going to look like, unless they do something completely bonkers and go, sign Aaron Judge or something. But
seems like that's going a different direction. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. They want to contend next year, and they want to put butts in the seats in that brand new stadium that opened in the middle of a pandemic. Levi Weaver, our Athletic Rangers reporter, with great information. I'm Tim McMaster. Check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/The Athletic Baseball Show. Subscribe, and we will talk to you again later here from the winter meetings.